So there's been a recent flurry of returned applications for spousal sponsorship, especially concerning hand signatures. A lot of applicants who submitted their applications correctly, keeping in line with the latest updates with digital signatures, are still receiving rejection letters stating the reason for rejection as missing hand signatures. If not rejection letters, they're receiving additional requests to submit the forms again with hand signatures. So let's take a deep dive and see where it's all going wrong. By the way, just to let you know, there have been some significant changes to the spousal sponsorship program since September 2022. It's now completely online, some forms have been updated, and the signatures now need to be provided digitally. So here's your guide 5289. This is what you should always refer to whenever you're starting out. If you scroll down, click on step 3, complete the application. This is where you will find instructions for digital signatures. As you can see, instructions for 1344, 5532 are clearly laid out here for digital signatures. If you scroll down here, if you are using a representative, then instructions for signatures for a representative form are also laid out here. So the updated instructions for digital signatures are valid. So here's the table that I've created. I've been showing this in my other videos as well. It has a list of all the forms common to pretty much every spousal sponsorship application, the method of submission, whether they require validation, the signature requirements, who should sign it, the format of these forms, and where you should submit these. So if you're just starting out, this table is going to be highly useful. It's linked in the description below, so definitely check for a link for this table. And whenever I learn about any important update, I try to put that in this table. So you'll find other important instructions and some links here as well. So again, definitely check that out. It's linked in the description below. So what does digital signature mean? And is it different from electronic signature? In the context of an IRCC application, just know that digital signature means the same thing as electronic signature. It's to type your full name as per your passport in the signature boxes provided. And when they're asking for digital signatures, they're not really expecting you to use an iPad pencil to sign the forms or use your Adobe Sign feature to basically use your mouse to draw your signature on the forms. They are just expecting you to use your keyboard and type your full name exactly as per your passport in the signature boxes provided. So you'd be surprised how many people actually get the digital signatures wrong just because there's some confusion in understanding these instructions. So let's take an example. This is the form 1344. It needs to be signed by the sponsor and the principal applicant. So if I can scroll down all the way to the signature section, this is where you will have to digitally sign the form. So make sure that the sponsor signs in this section and the principal applicant signs in this section. You'd be surprised how many people do it the other way around and get it all wrong. So let's take my example. I am the sponsor. My wife is the principal applicant, the one who's applying for permanent residence. So she becomes the principal applicant. So this section, the last line here, is where my wife will have to sign. So she will have to type her full name exactly as it appears in her passport right here. And this is the sponsor signature section where I will type my full name. So exactly as it appears on my passport. And for spousal sponsorship, you don't have to type anything here in the co-signer section. A lot of applicants actually end up signing here. Either the sponsor ends up signing here or the principal applicant, and it goes all wrong. So co-signer is not applicable for spousal sponsorship, so leave this middle section blank. Now, if you're using a representative, then you will have to fill out this use of a representative form as well, and there are multiple sections for signature. So make sure you understand who the principal applicant is, who the spouse is, and who the representative is, and then sign accordingly in the boxes provided. For this form also, you can simply click the signature section provided and you can simply type your name here just by using your keyboard. Okay, then this form 5532, the relationship information also has to be digitally signed like we just saw in the instructions, and there are multiple sections for signatures again. So keep in mind that this form right now, the current version is not really going to allow you to digitally sign it. So there are some tweaks that you'll have to do to properly sign it, and those instructions are also on the guide 5289. And I have actually made a detailed video on how to digitally sign this form. It should be showing up on the cards here and it's linked in the description below. So definitely check that video out. Basically, you can just use another browser or print to PDF function to do this signature. So check that video out. It's all there. But the important thing is, remember to differentiate between the sponsor and the principal applicant. So we kind of already covered this, but a lot of people don't understand its importance. So make sure that your digital signature, the full name that you will type in the boxes provided, exactly matches the name that is in your passport. If there is a discrepancy, they might return your application because they don't see a match. So it's very important that whatever name you've used in your passport is the name that you should be using to sign these boxes using your keyboard. So your digital signature should exactly match the name in your passport, as simple as that. And one pro tip, if it's possible, try to be consistent with the name that you use throughout your application. So all the documents that you'll provide, all the forms that you'll fill, use the same name and make sure that the name matches your passport. That way, it is consistent throughout the application, it matches the passport, and your digital signatures won't have any issue. Now this one is the most annoying. If you signed your application digitally as per your passport, then technically based on the updated instructions, your application should not have been rejected. A lot of you have reached out to me with this issue that you did everything right and your application still got rejected asking for hand signatures. It is just unfortunate at this point, but that is the reality. These updates went into action in September 2022, so they are still very recent. So technically all the applications that were sent after the update should have been accepted with the digital signatures. So I don't really know why this is happening. This is just speculation at this point, but if I were to guess, maybe there are some IRCC officers or program analysts who are not really aware of these instructions. So they are still going off of the old instructions where they were expecting you to provide hand signatures. So now when they see digital signatures, and they're not aware of the updated instructions, they just end up rejecting the application right away. And I know a lot of you have tried calling IRCC helpline and even their customer service representatives give you the same answer that yes, it's an error and it's been going on, but at this point there's not much you can do, just have to resubmit the application. So if you've not sent your application yet and you're wondering whether you should do digital signatures or hand signatures, especially in the light of all these rejections that have been happening, it's a fair concern and I admire you for your vigilance, but I'm still going to recommend that you should go by the latest instructions. So the Guide 5289 has clearly laid out the instructions for digital signatures. So you should still do digital signatures. Now hold on, I know what you're thinking. Why should we do digital signatures when they are clearly rejecting them and asking for hand signatures? So that's not entirely true. These updates happened in September 2022. And a lot of applications that were sent after September 2022 were also accepted with digital signatures. So there are a lot of applicants out there who followed the instructions for digital signatures after September 2022 and their applications were approved also. A lot of my subscribers fall in this boat. So you can't really say that they are rejecting all the applications with digital signatures. It's only happening to a few applicants out there. And again, this goes back to the speculation that maybe your application got assigned to an officer who was not really aware of the updates. So they rejected your application because they were going off of the old instructions. So now in this case, when you do hand signatures because you have a fear of getting rejected, if your application were to reach an officer who was actually aware of these updates, so they would be expecting you to do digital signatures. So you're clearly not following the instructions by doing hand signatures, and that officer might also reject your application. I know it's really convoluted, but that's the reality we are dealing with. So in order to be safe, the best option is to follow the instructions and do digital signatures. Now, along with the digital signatures, you can also do something else to just reinforce your case. So here's the online portal where you'll sign in and submit the application from your account. By the way, if you don't know who should create the account in the online portal to submit the application, then I have a detailed video explaining all that showing up on the cards here and linked in the description below. Definitely check that video out because that is also causing a lot of confusion lately. Okay, so inside your application, you'll scroll down to the form section and let's say you're going to upload 1344. You should still do digital signatures like we talked about. So this is the 1344 and this is how you should do your digital signatures, and hit validate, complete the form and upload it here without hand signatures. Now, what you should also do to make your case stronger is scroll down here to the supporting documents section, and when you're submitting your application, you should also submit a letter of explanation. Basically, you take a Word document and write this letter of explanation explaining to the officer why you have digitally signed your application. And in that letter, what you should also do is take a screenshot of this page from the guide 5289. So again, this is 5289 step 3. This is the page that talks about digital signature. So basically grab a screenshot of this page and put this screenshot in your letter of explanation. This is just to let the officer know why you are doing digital signatures. So let's say the officer looks at your application and they're not aware of the updates and they're about to reject it, but they'll also look at your supporting documents. And if they see a letter of explanation, they might just learn about these updates and they might just not reject it. So there's no guarantee of this, but you have to make this attempt. Okay, that's your best shot. So label this letter of explanation as 5289 digital signature instructions and simply attach it here. Either you can put it in letter of explanation category or the other category. I would put it in the letter of explanation category and simply upload it. Okay, so that way you are just doing the extra effort and going the extra mile to make your case stronger. Now, if you already submitted your application before but it did not go through, this can also happen in two ways. They will either reject your application completely, in which case you will have to resubmit the application, or they might just request you to only provide that particular form that they are expecting to see hand signatures in. So let's look at both those cases. Now, if they rejected your application, they must have sent you a rejection letter which clearly states the reason. So they must have written something like 1344 missing hand signatures. So if you've received something like that, then there is not much choice here. You will have to resubmit your application. So go ahead, print out the form, hand sign it, scan it and upload it back, even though it's against the instructions. So here's the online portal inside your application, and when your application gets returned, you will see something like this, application returned. So what you'll be able to do is go back inside this returned application, and whatever was the reason for rejection will be marked as incomplete here. So let's say 1344 was the reason. So it will be marked as incomplete here. So all you do is upload the hand signed form back here, and then don't just submit it. Make sure that everything else is complete. All your documents are in good shape. For online submissions, if everything else is marked as complete, you don't need to submit that again, but double check to make sure that no forms have been updated since the last time you submitted. So if all those forms are the same versions, that you're probably just fine with the same versions. Okay. Now, if you scroll down in the supporting documents section, first you will upload the letter of rejection. Don't forget to upload that, but also upload a letter of explanation. So you'll write in the letter of explanation that I'm resubmitting this application because it was rejected for this reason. And now I'm providing this particular form again with the hand signatures because I was instructed to provide hand signatures in the rejection letter. But you can also write something like, I'm fully aware of the requirements for digital signatures according to the guide 5289. I'm only providing hand signatures because I was instructed to do so. And to make your case stronger, you can also provide a screenshot of this page from the guide 5289 just to let the officer know that you are not really going against the instructions according to your whim and fancy. You are really following the instructions from the rejection letter. At the same time, you are fully aware of the current updates. Okay. Why this might help is, let's say your application were to be assigned the second time to an officer who's aware of the instructions and aware of the updates. So if they see your letter of explanation, they will be able to make sense of why you are providing hand signatures, even though the updates really ask you to provide digital signatures. All right. Again, there's no guarantee this will work because this is a fairly recent issue and no one really knows why this is happening and what's actually happening behind the scenes. And that's why it's our responsibility as applicants to be as detailed as possible and even go so far beyond as to instruct them on the updated instructions in case they are not aware. And that's why I suggested to write this letter of explanation with all the details. Now, let's say they did not reject your application, but you simply got a request to provide this form 1344 with hand signatures. That has also happened to a lot of people. So if they don't reject your application, you won't have to resubmit it. And that's why when you log into this online portal, you won't see the option as returned. You'll just continue to see this submitted option with the view button grayed out. So in this case, it means that your application is not rejected, but it's put on hold because they have now sent you an additional document request. And they will only begin processing your application further when you send them that document. So let's say you got an email from IRCC to only provide that particular form, let's say 1344 with hand signatures. In that email, most likely there is going to be a link to your MyCIC account or your IRCC secure account. So here's the IRCC secure account. I'm going to link it in the description below, but you must already be aware of this by this point. And you will sign in with your GC key. You must already have an account here. And then for this to work, your application must be linked to this GC key. If you don't know how to link your application, then here's a video. Look around the 15-minute mark. I explain how to link your application. So assuming that your application is already linked to the GC key, you will most likely see a request there where you can upload additional documents. So just go inside your application, and wherever you see an upload option, you can upload the hand signed 1344 there. Once you send that, then most likely in a few days, your form will get connected to your pending application, and then it can begin processing. So again, this online process is still very new. We are all getting used to it, and slowly with time, it's improving. IRCC will catch up. But until that happens, this is the hand that we have been dealt. So we have to be proactive and cautiously optimistic. By the way, if you've sent your application already, everything went fine, but you are struggling to create your account in the PR tracker to track the status of your application, this might just give you the fix you're looking for. I'll see you there.